I'm here with a very special guest that we caught up with a couple of years ago at APAO. Now, AI has been on a rocket ride since then, and Daniel Ting here has been really front and center of that movement in ophthalmology. So I'm very curious to find out his thoughts on what's been going on, what's new, and what's coming up in the future. Welcome to the show, Daniel. Great to see you.
Thank you, Chris. Good to see you again.
Well, it really has been like an explosion of AI since back in, April 2023 when we last spoke.
Yeah.
So how has that been for you, and has there been any landmarks that you'd love to notice on?
Do you remember when we last spoke, Chat 3.5 just released like a couple of months ago, right? So now there's so many different iterations of Gen AI engines is being introduced to the ecosystem, to the world. Right now, I think the world is experiencing a very intense AI race. So many different companies are putting in a huge investment, right?
Yeah.
And the AI, I think, is getting smarter, as we can tell from the last few years in terms of all the accuracy they're performing, specifically to health. We have also seen many of the companies is open sourcing the platform, which is a great direction. Personally speaking, I'm really heartened to see how the directions of the AI is moving towards. There's so many things that's happened for the last few years since we last spoke.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that from you, because I think when it comes to cooperation or competition, it's a very thin line. And will that continue into the future? Or are we going to see people dialing back and trying to protect their intellectual property or their own codes?
No, I think that's a very, very important question. Claiming about intellectual property, claiming about the data provenance, who owns the data. I'm quite glad to see that a lot of the regulators has taken the approach where they're encouraging the data being used innovative way, and then making that as a new intellectual property rather than infringing on the old intellectual property. I think that's one good thing that we've seen. Of course, the second thing we talked about is whether or not AI could be used as a medical device. There is a big push towards something called the Oculomics. Any ocular imaging or ocular biomarkers that can be used as indicators into your systemic health, we would actually call it as Oculomics in a general sense. We are already seeing some powerful biomarkers that is existing in the retina imaging that could potentially can explain what is the risk profile of these patients having a cardiovascular problems. The eye is considered the small organs. That's why we call it as microvascular versus the macrovascular changes. And we know the microvascular changes always precedes the macrovascular changes. Eye is the only organs in the whole entire body system that allows you
non-invasive.
Exactly. Direct visualizations. So I think that opens up a unique opportunity for us to say, hey, if we take a look at the vessels, can we already detect the heart problems? And in fact, we're already seeing some of the regulatory approved the system that uses retina imaging to detect coronary artery calcium score, for example.
It's also that combination of both the retinal imaging and the AI processing that's really going to push it.
Exactly, because if you ask the human to read the image and to ask them to quantify the calcium scores based on the retina imaging, that is impossible. So the only way you can do it is through AI. So that also explains the power of AI coupled with a good data and the good imaging, the source. So that's one of the many examples that we are seeing that potentially can revolutionize how cardiologists can detect these patients earlier, right? Without doing, say, diagnostic program. It's in a very active space right now. We know Topcon has acquired RetinSight. We've seen Essilor has acquired Retina AI. So many different imaging-based AI companies is all being acquired into the bigger ecosystem. And then now is the time for the next 6 to 12 months time to see how these different startups that has been acquired into a larger ecosystem can work jointly together and pushing towards the Oculomics or the AI space. I just joined the CCOI board, and CCOI is a community of collaborative for ophthalmic innovations. Currently, the CEO is Malvina. So Malvina is the US FDA directors previously, who actually approved the world first 3AI autonomous AI diagnostic device for DR screening, right?
Wow.
We have IDX right now is termed as digital diagnostics. the second one is iNuke, and the third one is OIs, right? So those are the 3 FDA-approved autonomous AI DR screening tools. So what that CCOI does is to actually bridge between the regulators and the academics and the industries. The one aim that CCO is trying to achieve is to actually accelerate the translations of innovations into the real world settings, to see how we could actually push technologies faster, but in a safe and responsible manner. Everyone is coming together to see how everyone can work jointly towards the same directions.
As a retina subspecialist, it must be a very exciting time because retina is really coming at the forefront. Where do you see the role of retina surgeons developing and evolving over the next years?
What would the future retina practice looks like, right? How do you train your future retina fellows? Is AI gonna be something good to have, skill sets to have, or is a must-have skill sets, right? So I think AI right now, whether you like it or not, is already here. How are you gonna use AI? That is the big question. So I always like to use an analogy about driving cars, right? You don't actually have to be a car engineer to
drive a car.
To drive a car. But the moment that you place your hands on the steering wheels, you've got to make sure that you are very safe and responsible to car drivers, right? So no different from AI. If everything that you touches right now, your EMR system, in your diagnostic device, in your surgical instruments, surgical tools, has the AI components within it, you have to make sure that first you understand what technology you're using, and second, when you use it, you need to be very safe, because every single thing we do in the healthcare, it touches the patient safety. So I think that's something that, in my mind, of course I'm biased, but I think every 100% of the medical students, the residents, the fellows, will need to at least know the basic concepts of AI so that they can actually use it safely.
Could you just tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've been up to and what can we expect to see from you next?
Too many things and too short of the time. With the new appointment, being the co-director for the AI Medicine Institute, right now our team is looking at building a world-first multi-disease, multi-imaging, retina imaging-based foundation model. The hypothesis is if we use this concept and then span across the different medical specialty, could we create a one-stop shop service for the medical imaging-based analysis? Let's stay tuned. Hopefully we have some results to show next year. That's one.
Awesome.
Secondly is how do we now train the AI to read the imaging and then to actually give you a report. So there is something what we call vision language model. So again, our lab is also trying to build the world's first multi-disease, multi-specialty visual language models for the different physicians, not just benefiting the retina specialists, ophthalmologists, but across the board, radiologists, pathologists, so that we could actually, democratize a lot of the specialist skill sets to the rest of the world. And last but not least, we have co-founded a company to actually look at sovereign agentic AI tools to help many of the pharmaceutical industries and the medtech AI devices and a hospital system to automate a lot of the healthcare administrative tasks, but making it run in the data sovereign environment. Meaning that today, if I don't have an internet connections, I can still run the models. And this model doesn't really need GPU support. It runs in a very lightweight CPU-based system. So it actually democratizes the AI use in many different countries.
That's going to make the big change, right? And getting this out there to the people is what it's all about. So you're really making the big moves to make that happen. The people you're working with, what you're doing together.
Yep.
Super exciting, and I hope I get to catch up with you in another year or two. The future, the sky's the limit, all right?
Yeah, we should do a 2 yearly updates.
Maybe it'll have to be 2 years and 1 year, then 6 months to how fast it's going. Yeah. Anyway, I'll let you get back to enjoy APVRS. Daniel, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Medium Eyes is always going to be a friend, so give us a shout anytime you like as well.
Thank you.
Guys, that was brilliant. I'm so happy to meet Daniel here again. This is the exciting times for AI, so keep your eyes on Daniel. It's all going to change and it's all going to be cool. See you next time.
See you guys.